Our Father, we are here because you are a good and great Father. You have provided for us all that we need to be in your presence in this moment. We thank you for Jesus, his sacrifice for us. We know, Lord, that it is by his merits that we can call ourselves your children. And even by his merits and his grace bestowed upon us, Lord, we're able to serve you. So we just thank you for all that you've done. We entrust this time to you, and just we pray for Pastor Ken, recovery, and Mark's wife as well, Lord, that you would just raise them up. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. So let me show you some visuals. What you're looking at right there is about what Chile looks like right now with the snow, because they are going out of winter. The seasons they're opposite, and we usually plan it, our furloughs and things, so that we're going from summer, spring to summer, spring, back to summer, spring, and we try to work it that way. But the winters are beautiful as well. This is not too far from where we live. During COVID, Coletta and I experienced I don't know what the word is, oppression, or what the right word is, but the regulations for COVID in Chile made California look like, Texas or Florida. There were quarantines. You could not leave your house. You were quarantined to your house it was almost 8 months. And the only way you could leave your house was to download a permission to be on the road. And it involved usually about 5 different reasons. Go to the grocery store, doctor's office, things like that. Going to church wasn't one of them. So the church didn't meet for 8 months. And you only got 3 a week for 2-hour time frames. Get out on the road, there's checkpoints, military. I mean, it was serious. And so, fortunately, where we live, it was by these mountains, a lot of trails. We like hiking and jogging in those trails and things. So it allowed us to survive that really difficult time. And it's not so bad. And it's beauty as well. Okay, I'm going to, suppose I'm doing this. This is the room. Let me see. Do that? No? Not that one.
Oh, good.
There we are. I have to do this in Chile as well. Oh, on the right side. Okay. Yeah. You don't put buttons on things anymore. It's just a black screen. So anyway, this is telling you that we've been there a long time. And Baptist Missions, we were able to open up the field of Chile with 2 other families back in 96, 97. This is our family. And so imagine, 28 years ago, we came with little ones. And they accompanied us until they got into college. But these are their families. We were gifted a week at a condo in Mammoth Lakes to celebrate with our family our 40th wedding anniversary. And this was the family photo. So our son TJ, he is a doctoral physical therapist, and he is also a pastor of a Spanish-speaking church. It's the one that the Borders were at in Santa Clarita. He's on the right with his wife Rana and Zayla and Kezia. Okay, you'll hear these names of our grandkids, and you say, well, they don't give normal names anymore for kids, but we love them. We love the names too. Zayla and Kezia, and then our daughter Lauren just turned 35 2 days ago. She has 3, her husband Jeff, and this afternoon I began a trek to Alabama driving one of their vehicles. They're moving to Alabama. And, good for them, bad for us, because we're usually here in California. That's where our son is, and some of you folks understand this, but you're with one of your children, you're not with the other when they're 2,000 miles apart. But, so we're going to have to learn to deal with that. But her children are Jubilee, Phineas, and Prudence. Great names, huh? These are the little ones. All right, this is where we live. This is, like I say, where the picture's taken from the mountains. So this is where we were able to escape to during the COVID restrictions. But we live in a home in the middle of that circle of homes there. That's the target area of our current church plant. Grace and Faith Baptist Church was our first church plant back in 1998. And then we established Life Baptist Church in Chimbarongo. Anybody ever hear of Chimbarongo? You've never heard of the wicker furniture capital of the world? Chimbarongo. It's in this area is where the reeds for making wicker furniture grow naturally, and most of the town is, well, a lot of the town is dedicated to that. In fact, one of the pastors, this is his shop, or was his shop. When we started the church, he's a master of wicker furniture, craftsman of wicker furniture, and he transformed his shop into the meeting place. This was actually the very first meeting in 2001, and this year we went back for an anniversary of theirs, and they had completely remodeled. You wouldn't recognize the place. And the church is doing well. They're supporting full-time Pastor Victor. And then our current church plant, established in 2011. We're going to tell you a little bit about the ups and downs of this work. We had a commissioning of a pastoral team last year. Just some of our baptisms. Recently, musicians. Church is blessed with quite a few musicians. Just different ministries. We call it Young Life, the youth group. We started it years ago and turned it over to a young couple, and they had to give it back, and we took it back and did it for a while, and we turned it over to another couple, and they gave it back, and this is the third couple that is currently in charge of Young Life. Ladies Connection was a real blessing. Glad did a lot of ministry with those women. Just some of the events. The 18th of September is the Independence Day for Chile. And usually on the Independence Day, they do a big folkloric celebration, the national dance, and the empanadas.
When did they become independent?
1810.
Okay.
Yeah. All the other countries in South America just said no to Spain. It was all about the same time. They all got on the same thing. Christmas last year was an evangelistic event, one of our first evangelistic events after COVID. Finally got to a point where we felt like we could invite people. But the event was outside.
You should mention that we met online at 8 months.
Yeah, the church continued online for 8 months. Did everything online. We did baby showers, we did going away parties, we did men and women Bible studies, children's ministry. We tried to do it all. We had no choice. And it grew during that time. Yeah. So all the ladies, recently, while we were here, they did a Father's Day, and then you guys have done the Grand Prix, I'm sure, and it was a big event. We had some neighbors of ours that came, and we were really excited about that. We hadn't had any ministry with them. They completely shut the door for years and years, and then we had a garage sale. We were trying to sell our home, and they came over to the garage sale and just gave them a bunch of stuff, and then they invited us over for dinner. So, yeah, okay. So the Lord opened up a little opportunity. We told them about the Grand Prix, and they went. Entered a car with their little son, and so they were there. And that was an encouragement to us. This ministry, Life's Hope Baptist Church, has been a roller coaster ride. We started it in 2011, and we came from our first church plant, stepped down as pastor, and went home on a furlough, and came back and started that work with one other family in the Target area. And we started some English classes to make contact with people, try to get to know some of our neighbors. We had about 25 adults participating in the English class. And that's how the church kind of got started. And within a year, we had probably 30, 35, 40 people coming on Sundays, which doesn't sound like a lot probably to you, but that's a big number in Chile. So we really felt like, man, we were on our way. But within a year of that, for one reason or another, people just start leaving, and we were down to just a handful again. So we worked it again, and did some other activities and other outreach events and things, and we saw the group build up again to about 30, and then they left. And then 2017, the Lord provided a property. And we were wondering the timing of it, Lord, why now? We don't have any people. And we were only about 10 or so. And so we went through the whole ordeal. It's an ordeal when you buy a property for a church in Chile. Took about a year. And we got that all set. We did some remodeling of the property, and we had a dedication. But most of the people that were in the church prior to us moving to the property didn't come with us. And so we were, again, just kind of starting from scratch. And then the Lord started to bring some people from the area of the church. And it really encouraged us. It really brought us to a place of stability, and the church just continued to grow and grow and grow and grow. We grew during COVID. All that time that we were going online, people would start connecting, and we never met them before, and we'd see their faces. They were invited by other people, and before we know it, we had a group of about 60, 70 people. And we finally started to meet again. It was a little challenging to just get to know each other. I mean, it's a different ballgame when it's just on Zoom. You need to press some flesh. You need to be to congregate. And we began to make grounds in that. The small groups, the women's groups, the men's groups began to meet, and we began to grow in our unity as a church. The pastoral team was functioning, had some bumps that we had to deal with, but we felt like we left things really well at the end of May. And basically, they gave us a send-off, and were just really sweet to us. We just really encouraged. We did our first meetings here in the States in July and first part of August. Just telling of all the wonders that God had done, and we were in kind of an afterglow of the work in that third church plant, and just how well it was going. And then, the end of August, I get a request from the pastors to meet with them online, and we connect, and they did not beat around the bush. They went right to the center of the matter, and one pastor says, "I'm leaving," and there's a big group that are going as well. The second pastor said, "I'm leaving as well," and the third pastor and myself were completely blindsided by this, and basically, when the dust settled, about a week later, about 70% of the church went with these other two pastors. A group of about 20 with the one standing pastor. His name is Alex. I'm going to add him to your prayer list. Alex needs our prayer. So, I don't know what to tell you, folks. I mean, we always want to encourage our churches with all that God is doing, and He is working. He is working. Even today, this small group organized an evangelistic outreach in the neighborhood. I mean, they're just 2 weeks from having a church split, and they said, we're going to go back to the vision that we had planted with them years ago, that the church was going to grow through evangelism and discipleship. We had people start coming from other churches and other backgrounds, and we loved them, and we believed that God could unify this group in spite of the diversities that were involved in it. But it didn't turn out that way. It didn't turn out that way. So obviously, it's very discouraging for us. This work, again, the roller coaster, and we're going down, but it's not the fun part. So we don't know. We don't know what we're gonna find when we go back. We're scheduled to go back the end of January. We can't go back there now. There's some issues with our Social Security that requires us once every 5 years to spend 6 months of the calendar year in the United States, and we're in that period of obligation right now. So we can't go back. That's not an option for us. But I think that's a good thing, because I'm a fix-it kind of guy. So I want to step in there and fix it. But I think that's the wrong thing for me to do at this time. And I'm not really even sure when we go back whether taking the leadership again is the right thing. So we need wisdom and just how to proceed with that. When we do go back, we have some definite plans. Back in the beginning of the year, we were asking prayer in our prayer letters for direction, because we knew that we were going to be turning over this work. And we just didn't know. the tug of 5 grandchildren was making us think we would go home. And we actually looked into the possibility of being a representative for Baptist missions in California and recruit. I mean, that's recruit missionaries, encourage young people. I mean, the mission field is manned by people our age and older. And they're retiring, and there just is not the force to come in and to cover what is being lost on the mission field. And so that was in our hearts to encourage young people to missions. We also were thinking of even doing another church plant. Because there's a young couple, Pablo and Fernanda, write their names down to pray for them. They want to start a new church. They want to be a part of a new church plant. And there's another couple that might help them. We were thinking we would come alongside them, not again to lead it, but to encourage them in that effort. I'm not sure what's going to happen with that now. But then in beginning of May, or the end of April, Baptist Missions contacted us about another opportunity, and that was an opportunity to be the director of the Arriba program. I'm going to share about that in the morning service. The Arriba program is an undergrad program where young people can commit to 11 months to move to Chile, to live in Chile, live with a Chilean family, learn the culture, study Spanish 2 hours a day intensively, first 7 months, take courses from professors who are coming from the States, and they would actually earn 30 plus college credits that they can apply to their college careers, their college curriculums. And what we saw with that opportunity is the possibility that God could use us to help shape some young people that obviously would have an inclination towards missions, so they wouldn't be interested in the program. The first 7 months is studies. The last 4 months is an internship where we just plug them into missions and they learn missions. Talk a little bit about that in the next hour. But we are doing that. We're going forward with that. They're promoting it in some Bible colleges. We're going to be doing some presentations the next couple of months. And we're hoping that Lord give us a good group of young people. But conflict, folks, unfortunately, is just part of life in general. And therefore, it's part of church life. It's part of leadership. When this happened, I really thought of Paul and Barnabas. You know, they were quite the team. They started out on that first missionary journey, working together, seeing God work in an amazing way. And they came back to Antioch, report to the church all that God had done, and they said, let's go again. Let's go visit these churches that we planted, and let's do another trip. And Barnabas says, yeah, let's take John Mark with us again. Well, John Mark had gone with them on the first missionary journey, and about midway, or after a little bit of time, he went back. We don't know exactly why. I mean, I can give you a lot of ideas, because missions is not easy. Being in another culture is not easy. Traveling around is not easy. And he wanted to go home to mommy. I don't don't know, but he wanted to go home, and he left the team. And Barnabas probably was the grace guy. His name means the encourager, and he was saying, let's take him with us. And Paul says, absolutely not. There is no way we're taking him with us. He abandoned us on our first trip. And the disagreement and the conflict was so severe, they parted their ways. Barnabas took John Mark, went another direction. Paul took Silas with him, and later found Timothy, and they didn't work together again. The interesting thing to me is it has some commonality to this situation, because the two pastors that left had a problem with the one pastor that stayed. They didn't believe that he was qualified to be a pastor. And that got so serious that they felt like they needed to leave. That was kind of the issue with Paul and Barnabas. Who is worthy to be a part of this ministry team? And the other interesting thing is the scriptures never tells us, well, Paul was right, or Barnabas was right. It was just conflict. And a serious conflict they could not resolve that resulted in separation. God's surprise? Was it did it damage the work of the Lord? I don't think so. Maybe it just multiplied it.
Amen.
So, I don't know. It's clear to us now that these two pastors are going to lead this group and starting another church. I say, great. That's what I do. I'm a church planner. If this results in that way, and I will say, and you can pray for us, we deal with some resentment, some all these things that they told us, keep coming back to us, and what they ended up doing had nothing to do with what we were promised or what they said they would do. They didn't do it the right way, for sure. But God still can redeem that and basically multiply the effort. And the group that has stayed are hurt as well, obviously, but they're not, throwing in the towel. They're encouraged to go forward. They're encouraged to carry out the mission of the church and to reach their neighbors, family, and friends for Christ. So some of those things would not have happened apart from this conflict and what has resulted from it. So that's our reality. That's what we're dealing with. Again, we're going to go back in January, and we're not sure what the Lord really wants us to do. And I am inclined not to go back to that church and try to pick up the pieces. There's just a big not want to, for one. I don't want to, but I'm just sensing that it's not the right thing. Missionaries, I've heard the definition of a missionary. Missionary is someone who goes to a place that needs what they're saying. They need them, but they don't want them. That's how it begins. Okay, but then they leave when they want them, but they don't need them. And we definitely were feeling that this past year, they didn't really need us anymore, and we're just going to be in the way. But they want us. And part of the want is dependence. They want us to lead, they want us to show them the way, when in reality, they can do it better than we can. And so there's a struggle that we have that the egos have to go to the side and okay, what is actually best for the work. And it may just be the best thing for the work is for us to start this other church, help this other couple start another church, but be there to encourage and support. That was one of the things that we were hoping to do, is just to encourage the 3 churches planted in the area of outreach, and just come alongside those pastors and just be a role of support. And so, would you pray for us, please? This is what missionaries deal with. This is what pastors deal with. This is what churches in the States are dealing with. And we just pray that somehow the name of Christ will be exalted in spite of the human beings that mess things up.